Hey, what's going on? My name is Andy Monroe, co-founder of Bullish Events. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be walking you through 4 in-person event models that you can leverage for your high-ticket coaching or community business. Now, we've been doing events, both virtual and in-person, in the high-ticket coaching space for just over 5 years at this point. And these 4 in-person event models are the ones that we've gotten the best results from, as well as the ones that we've seen others in the industry get really good results from. So these are both battle tested and proven through us and others that are also playing the game. Now, before I actually dive into these event models, I want to propose a question. And that question is, why should you be worried, thinking, or even planning on hosting in-person events for your high-ticket coaching business or your community? And my answer to that question is actually our philosophy here at Bullish Events, which is we think the future of the coaching and community space is in person. And no, that doesn't mean all coaching and communities are going to actually be taking place in person all the time. What I mean is that those that are hosting in-person events for their business, both as a vehicle for client acquisition as well as a vehicle for client fulfillment, are going to be the go-to authorities or the category kings of their industry. And the way that we've come to that conclusion is by looking at both society as a whole as well as the high-ticket coaching industry. The rise of artificial intelligence is amazing. It's unlocking things for us as humans that we probably couldn't have even dreamed of a few years ago. That being said, it's not perfect. There's been a significant rise of AI slop content online that's driving people away from social media. It's making people feel disconnected because creators would rather force out a bunch of AI content rather than being their authentic selves online, making people fearful of losing their jobs. The biggest drawback we're seeing from AI is it's making everyone question if anything online is actually real, whether it's a tweet, a reel, a picture, a testimonial, a claim, whatever it is. People are now more skeptical than ever because of how much AI content is being pushed out there. And as AI gets better and better, it's going to be harder and harder to tell what's real and what is not real. And that's why in-person events are so important for coaching and community businesses, because it's almost impossible to fake in-person events. I'm not going to say that it won't get there one day. Maybe one day you can completely fake an in-person event with AI. If we ever get to that point, I'll probably just shut down Bullish Events and check out from there. But as of right now, where it stands, faking in-person events is nearly impossible. And that's why they carry so much weight in the coaching industry right now, is because those that are hosting in-person events, they have the authority, they have the social proof, they have the trust, because people are seeing them do real things in real life. On top of that, humanity as a whole is just extremely lonely right now, and people are looking for groups and for people and relationships. They're just looking to hang out with people in person, because some people may have forgotten, but we actually have it in our DNA. We're biologically engineered to shake hands, hug, hang out, and connect with people in person more so than we are virtually. And finally, the last thing I'll say on this tangent, but before we actually dive into the video, is that information alone is becoming less and less valuable. People can go talk to ChatGPT, they can talk to Claude, they can talk to Gemini, and they can find out a lot of really valuable information. And right now it's not perfect. There's a lot of hallucination. Sometimes the stuff it says isn't very accurate, or it doesn't capture the nuances of a specific industry or a specific business, but it's getting really good. And the idea of just buying a course for the sake of consuming information, or buying a coach for the sake of information, is becoming less and less valuable. That being said, there's still a tremendous amount of value that comes along with being in the room with high leverage individuals, because those people that are high leverage, that are successful, that are leading their industries, whatever it is, that are also just on a similar journey as yourself, those people are going to have unique and direct insights from their own experiences. And being able to pick up on those experiences, pick up on those nuances, hear those stories, hear what's working for other people in the industry, that's something that AI won't be able to replace, because AI can't take on all of our lives at once. So as AI becomes more and more powerful, being in the right rooms is going to become more and more valuable. The relationships, the connections, and the insights that come from these rooms are going to be very, very difficult for AI to replace. Now, I know this video isn't titled why in-person events are super valuable in the age of artificial intelligence, but it's all very important context to frame this video properly, because I do genuinely believe that the high-ticket coaching and community businesses that want to survive in 2026 and beyond need to be hosting in-person events. And if you have no idea where to start, these 4 event models are the ones that have worked best for us. So with all that being said, let's jump right into it. Now, starting off with activation events. So to define an activation event, it's a local event that is focused on building community, authority, marketing assets, and generating business leads. So I really look at activation events as very small scale local acquisition events. So they do serve a function of generating business leads and acquiring clients, but it's mainly from the perspective and the framing and the paradigm of getting your feet wet in the in-person events space. So down here, I listed all these functions. The functions of an activation event are a good place to get started hosting IRL events, build a local community. So the way that we, at least that we internally leverage activation events, is that they're all focused on local markets. So I'll show you an example down here of the activation events that we did with school, but every single one of these events were focused on a market, whether it was Los Angeles, whether it was Austin, whether it was New York, Vienna, Austria. All of these events were marketed and advertised to a local community and a local industry. So that's the way that we deploy activation events with our clients, is that we pick a local community, usually a bigger to mid-size city where there's actually enough people to actually create some interest, and there's a large pool where you can actually be confident that you'll find the right high quality attendee in that pool, and we deploy the events there with a local focus. They're also great for increasing authority and social proof, generating marketing assets. These two will both be the case for every single one of these event models. Events are amazing for, of course, positioning yourself as an authority in your industry, increasing your social proof, but also generating like priceless marketing assets. And when I say priceless, I genuinely mean priceless. Like pictures, videos, reels, clips, whatever it is, the content that you can capture from being the one on stage, the one that's bringing events together, the one that's like talking to a room full of people, leading a breakout, whatever it is, for some reason, those ads perform so well. So being able to leverage event content to create marketing assets is a huge function and a huge benefit of hosting activation events, as well as just any other event model. Also positioning yourself as a local and industry authority. So an authority in the local city or location that you're going to be hosting the events, as well as an authority in your overall industry, because the people that are hosting events are perceived as authorities. And finally, they serve a function of acquiring leads and clients for your business. Now, I already made a separate video where I dive into the actual strategy that we use to acquire clients at activation events. I will link that video down in the description if you want more strategy on how to actually monetize and get clients from these activation events. But for now, we're just going to stick to the high-level theory on what these event models are and where they plug into your business. Now, the ticket prices that we use for activation events usually fall in the $10 to $50 range. This isn't binary. There's a lot of context that's needed to actually land on a good ticketing price. There's no one-size-fits-all ticket price for activation events that works, because there's so many different industries, different people, different businesses. There's just so much that needs to be considered. So that being said, what we've seen work best is $10 to $50. Duration, 2 to 4 hours, of course, not binary. Actually, the events we did with school were longer than 2 to 4 hours, so actually breaking that rule right there, but context matters. And an example of this is the school IRL series that we did with school. And something else that we did with these activation events is we had a GA day that was, I believe the ticket was like $9. And then we had a VIP day as well. And those ticket prices were anywhere from $500 to $1,000. And that model actually works really well. And we were able to see a lot of profit and revenue coming from these events by incorporating that VIP ticket onto the back end. So that's something that you can consider for your activation events. I probably wouldn't recommend that until you have a few under your belt. That being said, if you're looking to increase the amount of revenue that you're generating from these events, it could be cool to consider doing a VIP option as well. All right. Those are activation events. Moving on to acquisition events. So the definition of an acquisition event is it's an in-person event designed to deliver a transformational experience for the attendee while also functioning as a client acquisition vehicle for high-ticket offers, SaaS, and services. And the reason I include this transformational experience for the attendees because this can't be skipped over. We cannot sit here and design an acquisition event that is focused purely on getting clients, selling, generating revenue. People, especially now in today's ecosystem, are going to see right through that. So it needs to be a value first concept, a value first, an attendee first concept before we even start to think about how we're going to monetize and pitch and sell something. So making sure the experience is transformational and that they're actually getting real results, not just teaching, not just like spewing information, but taking them through a journey, making sure they're implementing and getting real results, and then having that be a direct stream into your offer. Framed almost as an invitation is the strategy that we're seeing work really well right now. And the function of acquisition events is to acquire high-quality, high-ticket clients, increase revenue. It adds in a whole new revenue stream to your business model, increases authority and social proof, generates marketing assets, positions yourself as an industry authority, strengthens your community, and deepens your impact, because in-person events are probably the most impactful, valuable, transformational thing you can do for your clients. And the ticket prices that have worked best for us is in that 197 to 997 range. This is mainly for GA. We definitely charge a lot more when it comes to VIP tickets, and I would definitely always recommend having VIP tickets for acquisition events. But for GA tickets, we usually charge 197 to 997 plus. Of course, this isn't binary. There's a lot of context that's needed on like who the people are, what the industry is, are they affluent, are they not affluent, all those good things you guys probably already understand. And for VIP prices, I would like to see at least 2 to 3x times the price of your GA ticket. So if your GA ticket is $1,000, I would like to see a VIP ticket in that $2,000 to $3,000 range at least. Duration, we see 2 to 3 days work the best, but not binary. I've seen 1, I've seen 4. They both probably work, but what's worked best for us is 2 to 3. And then an example of this is the Fun Launch Live series that we did with Fun Launch. So these were some acquisition events that we did 3 years in a row. One was Orlando, one was Miami, and one was Las Vegas. They worked really well. I actually did a video where I broke down, I believe it was Fun Launch Live 2023, and I broke down the amount of revenue we generated, like what we did, what the strategy was, why it worked, the stuff we did wrong. I will also link that video down in the description. Like I said, I'm going to keep this one high level just so you guys understand the event models themselves. So yeah, here's some pictures from our acquisition events that we did with Fun Launch. And moving on to fulfillment events. So to define a fulfillment event, it's an in-person event for your pre-existing clients, usually high ticket, that is focused on fulfillment, providing value, and solving problems in real time for the attendees. And to really write this one home, I'm going to use Fun Launch as an example again, just for where the fulfillment event plugs into their business model. So these events were engineered to enroll people into their high ticket coaching program. This program was $30,000. It was a mixture of coaching and consulting. Had the objective of helping people launch their own investment fund. And when somebody invested into that program, those $30,000, they got access to fulfillment events, and they usually got 2 to 3 per year. And these fulfillment events weren't an additional cost for the attendee because they already invested into this $30,000 program. A fraction of their membership fee was allocated towards the events. That's how we would fund them. And people would get access to these events when they bought the $30,000 program. And we ran the numbers. It just made sense to make these included inside of the membership. And if somebody invested 30 grand into a program but still had to pay to attend the events, that would be a little fishy. So we figured we'd just make it work financially so that people could just buy the program without having to buy the events themselves. Now, this worked really well for Fun Launch. That being said, if you don't sell a $30,000 high ticket program, maybe your program is $5,000 and it doesn't make sense for these fulfillment events to be included in that membership, that's totally fine. We're actually running this model with a client where we're doing a fulfillment event, but their program is around $3,000, I believe, and that's just not enough to justify giving them free access to an event so that they buy the program and they can still buy tickets to the event itself. And it's still a fulfillment event, it still checks all these boxes, but it's not a binary blanket statement that you should never charge for fulfillment events. Fulfillment events can be paid or free depending on how expensive your high ticket offer is and just how the numbers shake out. Function. Increase client LTV. We've seen fulfillment events be amazing for increasing LTV, decreasing churn. Renewals are also a huge aspect and part of these fulfillment events. I actually recorded a video about a client, Home Service Academy, that we worked with a few weeks ago on their event, and we were able to generate $105,000 in revenue from sponsors and renewals. I also already recorded a video on that. I will link it down in the description. But getting renewals at these fulfillment events is a great strategy to increase the return on investment. They increase authority and social proof, generate marketing assets, position yourself as an industry authority, strengthen your community, deepen your impact, all of the amazing things that come along with hosting in-person events. And the ticket price that we usually run for this event model is usually included in the offer, but like I said, there's some context where maybe it makes more sense to charge for it, maybe it makes sense for them to be free. This is stuff that we do, by the way, when we work with clients, is we work through all the context of somebody's business because no one's business is the same. As much as people like to claim there's like a copy and paste strategy you can just apply to every single business, that's just not the case. There's so many differences, and I hate to use the word nuance so much because it's very repetitive, but there's so much nuance when it comes to working with a different business and a different client. So what we do is we download all the context about their avatar, their business, their offer, and then we build an event model, an event strategy specifically for their business. So sometimes they charge for these fulfillment events, sometimes they don't, and we help them come to that conclusion. Duration, usually 2 to 3 days. Whenever we've done a one-day event, we just get feedback on the post-event survey that people just wanted more time. So 2 to 3 days has worked best for us. An example is the Home Service Academy workshops that we did last year and this year. And here's some pictures from those. And then finally, masterminds. So to define a mastermind, masterminds are an exclusive high-ticket event for your most successful clients plus others that are crushing it in your industry or your network. Masterminds are supposed to be collaborative and everyone in the room should be providing value. So the function of masterminds is to increase revenue. Again, it introduces a different revenue stream into your business model. Increase authority and social proof, generate marketing assets, position yourself as an authority in your industry, strengthen your community, strengthen your network, deepen your impact, complete your value ladder. I like to have masterminds be at the top of a value ladder because it gives your audience, gives your clients, your ecosystem something to shoot for. So the example I used is the mastermind that we built with Fund Launch. It's called Whale Group. And this was a $75,000 mastermind. They got access to like 4 events per year. And you had to be running a $10 million fund to even be considered to be a part of this group. And it gave something for people to chase. Like people were inside of the Fund Launch ecosystem. And they're like, hey, like those are cool people. Like they're all running $10 million funds. They're going to Alaska, Arizona. They're going to, Utah, doing all these really cool experiential events. And people wanted to be a part of Whale Group. It was like a goal of theirs to become a part of Whale Group. And that's why I like to have masterminds at the top of an ecosystem or at the top of a value ladder, is because it gives everyone else something to shoot for. And when it comes to pricing these masterminds, you can either do it per event or as an annual membership. I actually like the annual membership better. That's what we did with Fund Launch. It was a $75,000 investment to be a part of this mastermind for a year. You had access to 3 to 4 events. It was a really good model. You can also charge per event. And if you're going to do that, I'd say the bare minimum that you'd want to charge for a mastermind event is $5,000. Of course, you know your audience, your avatars, you know the people that you're serving better than I do. So you can kind of determine your ticket price based off of previous purchases, previous offers, what's converted well. But I'd say just for the positioning of a mastermind, I wouldn't charge less than $5,000. This would be a very cheap price for a mastermind. But it's a good place to get started. Like we're working with a client right now. They're doing a mastermind. It's their first one. We're doing $5,000 and we're probably going to scale up after we do the first one. But it's a good way to just get the first one out of the way, make it successful, fill the room, and then you can leverage that momentum for future masterminds. Duration, 2 to 4 days. Once again, not binary. And then an example is the Whale Group mastermind that we did with Fund Launch. Now, bonus. All of these events together create the event flywheel, an event-powered system that enrolls high-quality clients into your business and keeps them there. So you can kind of see this already, but with activation events and acquisition events at the bottom or at the beginning, these events are used to enroll clients into your business, usually very high-quality, high-ticket clients. And then a fulfillment event is used to increase LTV, decrease churn, and to keep those clients inside of your ecosystem paying you longer. And then a mastermind further extends that LTV by getting those people to ascend up into your mastermind. And then we see people stay in masterminds for years after that because it's just such a powerful piece of leverage to be in a room with other successful individuals that are on a similar journey as you, that the whole mastermind can like grow together. And it's quite cool to see. So that's how we see the event flywheel working together. And then last thing I want to say is, I already talked about this at the beginning, but my prediction is that those that have the event flywheel plugged into their business in 2026 and beyond are going to be the ones that are dominating the high ticket coaching and community space. People are looking for rooms to be a part of. They're looking to get in the room. They're looking to build relationships. They're looking to connect with other people in real life. And it's up to you to decide if you want to be the one that provides that for your industry or if you're going to let a competitor do it instead. All right, that's all I got for you. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video insightful, helpful, or valuable in any way, please drop a like and hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.